Chapter 6, Ghosts in the System. The Ark had rules. Everything did. Schedules dictated when you woke, when you worked, when you slept. Access levels determined where you could walk, what doors would open, what systems would even acknowledge your existence. Corp jurisdictions divided people into purpose, peace, directorate, engineering, guard, each with its own authority, its own boundaries. Movement permissions tracked every step. Data classifications controlled every truth. Order was what kept Ark 34 alive. And Artemis Golmir had spent most of his life learning exactly where that order broke. Tonight, he was going to start pulling at those fractures, piece by piece. The Academy terminal room sat deep within the lower levels of the UE training sector. Unevaluated Terrans weren't supposed to be here after cycle hours. Which was exactly why Artemis preferred it. The room hummed softly with dormant systems. Rows of terminals sat in perfect alignment, each station identical, clean, sterile, untouched. Overhead lights dimmed automatically after late cycle, leaving the space bathed in a cold, artificial twilight. It felt less like a classroom, and more like a vault. Artemis sat at one of the older terminals near the back, one that still required manual interface input rather than full neural sync. Most students avoided these. Too slow. Too outdated. Too easy to monitor. But Artemis knew better. Older systems weren't just outdated. They were forgotten. And forgotten systems didn't get patched. His fingers moved across the interface with quiet precision, each command deliberate. No wasted motion. No hesitation. Behind him, Nova Kess leaned against the wall, arms crossed, watching him with a mixture of curiosity and anticipation. The faint glow of the terminal reflected in her eyes. Rian Calder stood off to the side, shifting his weight, clearly less comfortable. "You're really doing this," Rian muttered, his voice low but tense. Artemis didn't look up. "I already started." The screen in front of him flickered as layers of the Ark system architecture unfolded. It wasn't just data. It was a map. A living one. Public network nodes expanded first, open, simple, harmless. Then the academic systems, structured, controlled, heavily monitored. Beyond that, restricted corp access layers. Each deeper level pulsed with tighter encryption, heavier oversight. And beneath it all, Artemis smiled faintly. Legacy systems. Old pathways, long abandoned by official updates. Bridges between architectures that no longer existed. Maintenance backdoors no one had bothered to close. Dead infrastructure. Except it wasn't dead. It was just ignored. Exactly where Artemis liked to work. "I need access to maintenance logs from 8 years ago," Artemis said quietly. Engineering Corp assignments. Lower tunnel sectors. Rian frowned immediately. That data would be archived under Directorate oversight. "I know." Nova pushed off the wall slightly, a faint smirk forming. "So we're already going after Directorate systems," she said. That didn't take long. Artemis didn't respond. He was already typing. A string of commands slid across the screen, fragmented access calls stitched together through deprecated protocols. He rerouted authentication through an old academic archive bridge, then masked the request as a routine system sync. The system paused. Not long. But long enough to matter. A flicker. A hesitation. Then. Access granted. Rian blinked, leaning forward. "You're in." Artemis gave a small nod. "Old archive bridge," he said. They never updated it. The moment the system opened, data flooded the display. Maintenance schedules. Personnel assignments. System diagnostics. Incident reports. Thousands of files, stacked across years of Ark operation. Artemis filtered immediately. Date, 8 years prior. Sector, lower tunnel infrastructure. The results narrowed. Dozens of entries became a handful. Then, 2 names. Golmir, Elias, engineering technician. Golmir, Sarah, systems specialist. Status, deceased, incident logged. The room seemed to grow quieter. Even the hum of the systems faded into the background. Artemis's jaw tightened, just slightly. Not enough for most people to notice. But Nova did. Rhiannon did. Open the incident file, Nova said, her voice softer now. Artemis executed the command. The report appeared instantly. Too fast. Too clean. He read it once. Then again. Cause of death, pressure conduit rupture. Secondary explosion. Fatality confirmed. No additional notes. No extended report. No follow-up. No investigation logs. No security involvement. Nothing. Rhiannon leaned closer, confusion turning into unease. That's it. Artemis didn't answer immediately. His eyes scanned the file again, searching for something, anything, that didn't fit. But that was the problem. Everything fit too perfectly. They erased everything, he said finally. Nova's expression hardened. Or they never recorded it in the first place. Artemis scrolled deeper. Most files ended where they were supposed to. This one didn't. There was a gap. A space where something should have been. And then he saw it. A secondary log. Minimal labeling. No visible metadata. Just a block of encrypted data attached to the original report. Hidden. Deliberately. Artemis's focus sharpened instantly. He selected it. Attempted access. The system responded immediately. Access denied. Clearance, Directorate-level. Artemis exhaled slowly. Directorate clearance, he muttered. Rhiannon stepped back slightly. That's not something we can just bypass. Nova tilted her head, watching the encrypted block on the screen like it was a challenge. A slow smile spread across her face. Then I guess we're going to need to go deeper. Silence settled over the room again. But it wasn't the same silence as before. Before, the room had felt empty. Now it felt watched. Artemis stared at the encrypted file, the faint glow of the screen reflecting in his eyes. 8 years ago, something had happened in those tunnels. Something that didn't match the report. Something someone had buried under Directorate authority. And now, he had found it. Not the truth. Not yet. But the door. And once Artemis Golmir found a door, he didn't stop. Not until it opened. That night, something shifted. Not in the Ark. Not in the systems. But in him. He wasn't just searching anymore. Wasn't just a kid digging through forgotten data because he could. This was different. Personal. Focused. Dangerous. The Ark had rules. And Artemis had just stepped outside them. Quietly. Precisely. Irreversibly. That night, Artemis Golmir stopped being a curious observer. And became something else entirely. A ghost inside the Ark systems. This ends Chapter 6 of Artemis Book 1, Unevaluated. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more.